To talk about metaphysical concepts, we first need to define what exactly metaphysics is. Metaphysics is one of the major branches of philosophy. It concerns existence and the nature of things that exist, the categories of being, the nature of things, and the relations among these things that exist. It is altogether a theory of reality. One of the biggest questions that metaphysics asks is on the existence of God. If I were to be asked whether I believe that God exists, I would have to say that I don't know. Because if I say yes, God exists, then there's an array of questions that I must answer, like if you believe in God, are they omnipotent? Are they omnipresent? What are their commandments? Are they responsible for good and evil? Is there an afterlife? And to my 17 years of age, I have not yet found a religion or a belief system that answers these questions in a way that is attractive or sufficient to me. On the other hand, if I say, no, God does not exist, then there's this other array of questions that I must answer, like, then how did the universe come to be? What is life? What happens after we die? And I would have to justify the millions of religious experiences that people have around the world every day. And on the origin of the universe, I choose to be on the side of science for this one. There are many theories, but the one that makes the most sense to my human brain, at least, is the one of the Big Bounce. This one states that right now we are in a period of expansion. Dark energy is pulling everything farther away from each other, but at some point, dark energy will slow down and gravity will take over, and it will make everything closer and closer together until eventually all the mass and all the energy of the universe will be concentrated on a single point. And then the conditions will be the same as when the Big Bang happened. So this theory states that the universe has been in an infinite cycle of growth and collision. And this also justifies that nothing can come from nothing, that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It has always been here in an infinite cycle. On the nature of reality, this is whether things exist solely within our minds or whether they exist independently from us. I choose to not take a full stance on either side. Because, for example, this pebble will continue to be made out of atoms, it will continue to have a certain mass, it will continue to be just one pebble, whether I'm here to experience it and measure it or not. It does not care because it is an objective reality of this pebble. On the other hand, if I say this flower is beautiful, there's no objective reality to that. The flower has certain colors and certain structure to it, but there's no intrinsic attribute of beauty that is intrinsic to the flower. It exists solely within my own mind. And this subjective identity of things ties in with the Platonic idea of forms. Because, in my opinion, the ideal forms do exist, but they only exist to the extent that the language for them exists. And I don't mean only the phonological value for those words. I also mean the semantic and the exposure that a person has had to them. For example, I have the ideal form of a horse. I would not be able to describe it, but it is there because I have the word for it and the semantic context. But when the Spanish conquistadors arrived to this continent, the natives did not have that form in their vocabulary. So they describe the horses of the conquistadors with the word for dog, because in their language, the ideal form of a dog fit best the description of a horse. I choose to believe this because it fits the personal relationship that I have with religion and spirituality. And it also makes sense in the context of cultural and linguistic relativism. And finally, even though I do agree with Parmenides in that nothing can come from nothing, I think that change is one of the true components of our universe.